How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be doing something a little special when it comes to how I'm going to be explaining the units, which we're going to be doing every unit explained in 1 minute. I'm going to give each unit at least 1 minute or below when it comes to talking about them, summarizing them, and show how they play with a little footage in the background as well. This video is sponsored by REHOO, so thank you so much for funding my Ellen polls because that's what this will be going straight into. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, sub, all that different type of stuff, and let me know which unit you are most excited for or already playing. But let's go ahead and start with our first character, which is Nekomata. And Nekomata is a physical DPS who specializes in movement and high daze attacks. She has multiple ways of getting around the enemy and even has extra benefits for being on the backs of enemies as well. And with the right piloting, you will also be impossible to hit, just because as soon as they start doing their moves to hit you, you can dash right behind them and do attacks on them while they're still hitting in the direction you were in, which allows for a lot of different possibilities when it comes to not only allowing her to do damage, which is free, or you can have yourself switch into another character and do whatever you want with them, whether it be damage, anomaly buildup, or even higher days. There's just so much you can do with Nekomata, and also using her movement to her advantage, which is one of her strong suits. One of our next characters is going to be Soldier 11, a fire DPS that incentivizes players for learning her own mechanics, which is to time her normal attacks to the correct rhythm, which gives you a temporary fire fusion for that hit, which allows for possible 100% uptime on fire damage, which can boost Soldier 11's damage by an enormous amount. And she can also use her skill and ultimate to allow her to not have to worry about the rhythm, which heavily allows you to choose when to use the skill and when to use the ultimate. If you feel comfortable where you're able to do the rhythm every single time, then you can kind of spam that, and then when you really have these big DPS windows, you can go ahead and time your skill, wait for that infusion to end, use your ultimate, wait for that infusion to end, and then come right back into the rhythm with your normal attacks until you gain your skill and ultimate back. This allows you to spam your normal attack once you have this temporary state of fire infusion from the skill and ultimate. So there's a lot of different ways to play Soldier 11, and will be 100% more optimized when you understand the timings and also the rhythm of how to use Soldier 11. Going into our next character is going to be our first stun character of the list, which is going to be Koleda. Koleda is going to be a fire stun character who specializes in increasing the daze meter by an insane amount. She has a fair amount of AoE with both her skill and ultimate, and even has longer animations which allow her to be switch cancelled between her other teammates. But she also, funny enough, has a synergy with Ben that further increases the moveset of the two, which gives more daze meter, and not only that, more AoE to what she's already had, similar to where her skill and ultimate are. She's the only person in the game right now who has that innate synergy with another character, where if they're on the same team, you get an expanded moveset, and I think that's a really cool thing for Koleda to have. But I really hope they add this for other characters. But overall, Koleda is a really good daze meter build-up character, not as much as Lycan, but definitely a really nice character for the fire team if you so happen to use Soldier 11 or any of the other fire related characters. Going on to the next character that is right there when it comes to Koleda is Lycan, which Lycan is an ice stun character and by far one of the strongest daze build-up characters, which allow enemies to be immediately stunned with a simple combo from his charge attacks. He is able to choose between both physical damage and his charge attack being ice damage, which allow him to give buffs to his teammates to enjoy an ice res down, and also a higher stun damage multiplier, which are absolutely enormous buffs to give to your allies. Not only is he really good for characters like Ellen, but also for other teammates, because that higher stun damage multiplier is going to overall give a huge damage boost to a lot of different allies, especially with how fast he allows that daze meter to get built up. He's such a strong character, and definitely a character you should look out for. Grace is going to be our next character when it comes to our electric anomaly build-up character, and she has an insane amount of AoE and leads to an absurd amount of electric anomaly build-up, which gives her amazing synergy with multiple high element application characters. She also has great movement within her attacks, which allow for dodging and rapid repositioning between the moments you may have in battle. She's able to stock up on her, I guess you say, charges for her grenade, which is done by the bullets from her gun, and this gives you an enormous amount of AoE. Her skill does a lot in AoE, and also her ultimate is amazing in AoE as well. She's able to build up the anomaly for a bunch of these different enemies and allow for shock to happen, which is a lifesaver, especially with all the enemies that are robots at the very beginning of the game. So Grace is definitely going to be a super strong character to have early on, and someone you should definitely be looking out for, just because I do think the investment potential for Grace is going to skyrocket once we look into Attribute Anomaly even more. The next character is going to be one everyone knows about, which is going to be Ellen Jo. She's going to be our strongest DPS, and specifically an ice DPS, with the potential to have 100% uptime on her ice infusion, with a strong amount of AoE and dodging capabilities due to her dodge dash that she has innately in her kit, which gives her the chance to keep her ice infusion and dodge incoming attacks. She's currently one of the strongest characters to have a team, just because at the moment she has a full premium team with Lycan and Sokaku that give her an insane amount of value at the start. Lycan giving the ice res down, and also Sokaku giving the attack percentage, and not only that, the quick assist that allows Ellen to get her stacks very quickly, and is by far one of the strongest synergies in the game at the current moment. Our next character, who is also a high investment character, or a high potential in investment character, is going to be Rena. She's going to be our electric support with one of the highest future proof kits available in the game. She uses puppets to do her attacks, and also has multiple ways of allowing off-field damage, and also similar to Sukaku, having the assist follow-up that you can proc with other characters. She has damage boosting with her penetration, and also electric damage bonus, which would make her one of the strongest supports in the game without a doubt, especially for those that are electric DPS or regular DPS as well. They're going to be able to get provided not only that res pen boost, but if you're electric DPS, you're getting that electric boost too. So she's definitely going to see some future value, and is going to skyrocket immensely once we get a proper electric DPS. Our next character is going to be Ambi, which is by far one of my personal favorites, which she's going to be an electric stunner that you get for free as the starter trio. She has a nice amount of coverage of AoE between her chain attack, and not only that, her ultimate as well, and even has ways to amplify her daze buildup, which makes her chain attack way easier to proc and for the rest of the team to use. She has multiple portions of her combo that allow her to have an enhanced version of her skill and a quicker one as well, and also the ability to hold her attack at the end of her string to be able to give a slam down with a little bit more AoE and a lot more daze as well added on top of it. Our next character when it comes to the trio is going to be Nicole, which is by far one of the most valuable units when it comes to the trio that we get at the start, and is due to how much of a scarce unit she is, and not only her element but also what she's able to provide. She's also the only ether unit available before Julian, and has the ability to group up enemies, which is important in this game, alongside the anomaly buildup that she is able to do as well, which gives the corruption. She even has the ability to reduce defense as well, which is an insane stat to have as a support, which is usually a future proof stat to have. There are many instances of Hoyoverse games giving this defense down to any character, and they end up staying meta for the longest amount of time. So when it comes to the trio that what we're going to get of Nicole, Ambi, and Billy, which we'll talk about later, Nicole is by far one of the best choices to invest in early on in the game. Our next character is going to be the definition of broken, and that is going to be Corin, because if broken was a word, and it still is going to be Corin. Because of the multiple changes they've done to her kit to try to reduce her power, she has still become one of the strongest physical attack units due to her buzzsaw, which not only raises the crazy amount of daze meter that you are going to give to an enemy, which is equivalent to a stun character, but also allows for nasty damage and also an easy time getting assault. She is an all-in-one, just like Nekomata, when it comes to the multiple benefits that you're going to get when it comes to the daze increase, the easy assault, the ability to reduce physical resistance, which is a strong debuff to add. You are going to be able to use this character in a lot of different aspects, not only for some of her benefits of being a daze buildup, anomaly buildup, damage, but also to give that buff of physical resistance down to enemies to allow other characters like Nekomata or even characters like Piper to be even stronger in the future. Our next character is going to be our last trio character, and that is going to be Billy, one of our few physical range DPS that we have currently in the game. He plays with his guns, which is one of our first range characters to be in the game, I guess you could say, besides Rena, but he has the potential to do some nice DPS alongside other characters, and he also has a stackable ult multiplier based on the amount of chain attacks that you do with them, which is a pretty cool thing to see. I really want to try this out eventually as we go into live release, but we'll have to wait and see how that works. He isn't one of the craziest characters in the game just due to the fact that he doesn't do a lot of damage innately within his kit and doesn't have any supportive abilities to stack against the rest, so he is going to be someone that we do have to looking forward to after live release. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into the next character, which is going to be Mr. Gurren Lagann himself, which is Anton. And Anton is going to be an electric attack unit, which this unit is the one and only character that has a transformation at the current moment, or an install, whichever one you want to phrase it as. He is a character that has multiple benefits in using and is one of the only electric DPS in the game. He has a nice spread of AoE and constant electric damage with nice daze buildup as well, and even constant anomaly buildup with how much he attacks. He's the only character that goes from straight up physical damage only to turning into his skill and allowing him to give more electric damage, and this is something that stays on for a certain amount of time, and if you're able to abuse this and give as much damage as possible, especially to the robots in the early game, you are going to absolutely wreak havoc. Our next character is going to be Ben, our only defense role character who specializes in shields and parries within his own kit. Just like how we talked about it previously, he has a synergy with Coleta, which expands their movesets entirely with having them just on the team. He is a much better starter character due to the forgiveness he gives with his parries and his shields, and also has the get off me factor in case you feel like you are being smothered by enemies. This is a character that is a niche use for a lot of different people. If you don't feel like being the one to wait around for the enemies to hit you and you really want to go ahead and do the hack and slash nature of what this game is, Ben might be a hard pickup for you, but if you really want to play that more passive playstyle, Ben is definitely going to be a character you're going to love. Our next character is going to be Sukaku, which is going to be our ice support who has her permanent stay at the moment by Ellen's side due to how well they work together. Sukaku is able to give her allies attack, and not only that, also can increase ice damage as well, where you can see that Ellen is going to absolutely love this. She has an enormous amount of ice AoE within her skill and her chain attack as well, which allows for her to build up daze and anomaly buildup in a wide area. Another thing that makes Sukaku very strong is that she's able to proc the quick assist for someone like Ellen to give her fast 3 stacks and make her animations so much shorter to allow you to get to the DPS as fast as possible. Our next character and our newest characters are going to be Lucy and Piper. Lucy is going to be a fire support, and she has 3 little homies that stay on the field and do damage as they attack the enemy. Various moves are going to change up what the hogs do to complete their certain attacks, which end up doing more damage and also have various buffs attached to them, which Lucy is able to give an attack buff to the entire team, and even has a way to share her crit rate and crit damage with the hogs as well. Not only that, she can also provide energy to your team, which is a valuable resource to give allies to allow them to do their skill more often, and is the source of their strongest moves. Our last character on the list, and again one of our newest characters, which is going to be Piper, one of my personal favorites to be added to the roster, is going to be our physical anomaly character. She is going to be ZZZ's version of Herta. She spins to win to be able to ramp up physical anomaly, which allows her to not only be one of the easiest assaults compared to Corrin, but also gives the whole team a damage boost as well after you max out her power stacks, which can be done by fully spinning with her skill. She is going to be one of the strongest 4-star characters for sure, and definitely one you want to keep an eye out on. This has been basically every character summarized in a minute or less, and hopefully I was able to showcase off and explain what each character does. Let me know which character you like the most out of this list of characters, and I cannot wait to try them even more so when the game is out. But other than that, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end of the video. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.